make you watch me play that. All right, we are live. We are live.
Or was it 11? Might have been 11. I can't remember.
Hello.
Hello. Blood Brothers Live. I like how it says stream will begin shortly, but we are officially live. Let me just go ahead and...
I'm still wiping. Hold on.
Pinch it off. Pinch it off. Alright.
Oh no, my finger's stuck again.
That's what happens every power bottom. Alright.
Power Watch Simulator.
Uh-oh. Where's John at? I don't see John.
What? No, I'm here. I can see me.
I got you. Well, you keep tuning out. So. All right. So, a little bit rough around the edges, but we'll be okay. So, we're actually starting a new segment. It's the Blood Brothers Live, which is our podcast now, and slash, just show where we talk about spooky stuff, paranormal. This actually came from an idea from Mikey, who's on with us too. And if he wants to talk more about that, he can. But Mikey had this idea of talking about like ghost stories, and I believe was it ghost stories in the Bible that you were talking about? And that's what kind of...
Yeah. I'd like to highlight some of the exactly from the Bible.
From the Bible, yeah. So I thought that was a really cool idea, and then I think it just kind of went from there. So. But I think we should have everybody on there. John is still a gray spot.
John, you there?
I don't know what in the world's going on. I'm good on my end. Let me turn it off and turn it back on.
John has a picture preference. I can put it on there for him. Mikey does not have a camera. Well, there's John. Mikey does not have a camera, but on that end, we decided to give Mikey the treatment of having Hulk Hogan with a Bitcoin head.
I've been waiting to see it. Will I get to see it? No, or is it?
Are you on the Twitch stream? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Hold on. I will.
Put on there real quick, and you can see old.
I see.
It looks just like me.
It looks just like
him.
I mean,
I know. It's just him.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what I see whenever I see Mike. It's been a minute, but I like the bulge. The bulge right there too.
Oh my god.
So, well, we always end up sort of just rambling at most of our live streams, anyways. So I think it just kind of made sense. And then of course we have John on there too. But I'm playing Jamie from the Joe Rogan Experience tonight, so I'll be googling stuff. But we actually did a randomizer. And also we have, I got to give her a shout out to our mod in the chat, Wasabi Continuum, aka Christy, who's pretty much part of the stream too at this point.
Hey. I'm not saying boo.
So she may actually get on some episodes. I think Mikey had an idea for the Apocrypha, which is part of like our randomizer stuff too. And whenever I mentioned that, she was like, "Oh, wow, that's interesting," So
she should,
yeah. So
join in anytime she feels like.
Yeah. So. All right, Christy, everything sound good?
Hi, Christy.
And then we also have the DSLR camera working the way it should. We went back to Streamlabs, and it seems like it's doing a lot better now. So, all right. So group screen and topic. Look at that. We have everything just. Even though the kinks were there, and it took us a minute to get started. We have souls, next lives, and reincarnation. And this was a subject picked by John. And we put in a randomizer. We ran it a few times. I think everything really liked John, so because most everything was coming up as John. So
those RNGs, man. They just sometimes.
Yeah. So John looks beautiful. How does Michael look? Did you get a chance to see Mikey? Look at that.
She's impressed.
It was just one baby.
I think she's speechless. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she said John looks. Yeah, it looked like I just got out of a fight.
All right. So souls, next lives, and reincarnation. So I think next time we'll have some talking points and everything, and it'll be a lot more formal. We'll probably have some guests on there and stuff too. But I think honestly, as much as we talk, we'll probably be able to ramble on about it too. So we'll let John kind of kick it off from here since it's his topic. So John, tell us your thoughts and what you believe and what you think of souls, next lives and reincarnations.
Well, I don't know much about reincarnation. I really don't. But
that you know of, you could have been reincarnated.
I could have been. I don't know. You hear a lot of people, especially because I like to play music and do that. You oftentimes see people in the media talk about how they feel like old souls, and that's kind of something that got me thinking, like, and you have like just I used to date this person once, and she had a little cousin, and he was like 5 or 6, and so, but this kid knew stuff about like Civil War stuff that he shouldn't know, like was talking about like different names of people, and I don't know if he was just like.
So he would never have had any knowledge prior to that.
I don't think so, and that was what I was told, that he didn't have books on the subject. They didn't know of anybody in the family that would have talked about this kind of stuff. So it was just like, that was one time in my life where I've heard of somebody talking about being an old soul, and it kind of being like, okay, well maybe you never know, right?
Never know.
But I think it's something that's romanticized by people, because I think people are, I think we're all kind of, a lot of us, not all maybe, but most of us are scared of death, or, because we don't know what happens really. I mean, it's a natural thing to kind of be afraid of death. So
I'm terrified of it, to be honest with you.
I mean, yeah, because we don't know what lies there. So I think there's something that's comforting about the whole idea of reincarnation and, our soul kind of. One of my favorite movies is What Dreams May Come.
Yeah,
I mean, it's top 5.
It's a beautiful movie. I love that movie.
And I really love the way that they kind of took that subject really head on, and they like hit a bunch of dark topics too, on top of all the bright topics. And I love how it was all encompassing. It didn't matter what kind of religion or spirituality or whatever it was that you believed in. It all had it all in there. And I think to me, that's what I believe there is. Like, I guess I'll go ahead and come out and kind of say, I guess I'm kind of pagan. I don't really believe in just one God. So, I don't know. That's a whole different topic. But I feel like in that movie, they got it. It seemed like they got it right, because there was just such a wide encompassing of all the different possibilities. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know. It's just I think it's an interesting thing to talk about. It's an interesting to think about. And I don't know. What do you all think?
Well, can I ask you a question about it, though, John?
Sure. Ask away.
So, another movie. Hey, you've seen the movie, right?
Who's in it?
Is that the one with Haley Joel Osment
and Robin Williams?
No, it's the movie with the little boy.
Yeah,
and
Haley Joel Osment. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen it, John?
I don't think so. I haven't seen that. But isn't Robin Williams like the robot?
No.
Or is that a different?
That's a different movie. Yeah,
different.
Okay. No, I haven't seen that. Tell me about it.
So there's this concept with a device sophisticated enough, and you could capture the amount of information that radiates from all the events, and you could recreate those events, right?
Okay.
And in that movie, what they're exploring is artificial intelligence, and they've created artificial intelligence. It's this little boy, and he has these feelings and stuff, right? Now remember, he's not alive. He is or he's not alive. Okay, he's not human.
Okay.
But he has those emotions. He has these things, and what they're keeping, what ends up happening is the aliens have been keeping this information from him, right, about his mother and the truth and reality that's been placed in front of him, because they're observing him. Oh. When you're talking about the afterlife or other lives, what would you consider artificial intelligence to be? Is artificial intelligence
It's an interesting question. I don't think so, because I feel like a soul starts out kind of complicated, whereas AI seems to start out simple and then become more complicated with the more it learns. Which I guess you could say that a soul is like that too, but that's that. I mean, is a soul a tangible thing to you, or is it just a you know how sometimes you can be around people and they are just in a bad mood and you can feel it? Like, is that a soul, or is it this little ball of light that lives inside of us that we can never find or never see? Or what I guess if you boil down, AI is a program. So if you want to think that our soul is the body's program, then you could say that, but I don't know if it's quite.
So in the context of this movie, what they've done is they've captured the information that radiates from all events, and you could take it to parallel universe theory too, but the device is sophisticated enough that it can perfectly replicate what has happened before. That makes sense. So to this entity, this artificial intelligence, it would have that's the whole thing about the movie is how would it respond knowing that it is not the original human when it fully believes that it is? That makes sense?
Right. I don't know. Because I don't believe that a soul can be applied to AI like it can be to humans, because they're two completely different things.
They're two different concepts.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. What do you say, Doug? What's up?
All right. So I just wanted to chime in on that too, because it's funny because I disagree with both of you.
Okay.
That's good.
That's what we want.
Yeah, so, I don't even. I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah. No, but from there though, just thinking about, you asked if AI is the afterlife. I would say no. And then where John said, well, can a soul be applied to AI? I would also say technically no. It depends on how advanced AI really gets and how far that you go with it. The reason why I say that is, okay, so since we're talking about like the subject of what we believe, and John says that he's pagan, I believe in a God, and so on that end too, if we are somehow modeled in the way of God, like, and if we are somehow created from God, and we have this thing called God essence, which is what I personally believe, then I think that being able to have God essence and everything that has matter essentially has God essence. So if we somehow create an AI and we fabricate something like that and we create it, I think that we are basically applying that same God essence to that too. I don't think our computers have souls. Let me be clear about that. But I think like once it gets to a certain point of AI and it becomes sentient, it becomes
The computer didn't like what he had to say.
Hey, Doug, you there?
Yeah.
You there,
Can
buddy?
you hear me?
Yeah,
No.
you cut out for a minute and your webcam's gone.
Whoa, AI.
I know, it literally occurred right as you were saying. It was so weird.
That was weird. Well, hold on real quick. Wow, it really fucked up both of my webcams. That's insane. Holy. Well, okay.
Do you have both?
I know who's wrong.
I think we pissed it off.
Try unplugging the webcam you're not using.
Okay. Let me. Let's see here. Am I showing up in Discord at all?
No.
Wow.
No, you're not in Discord, but you're on.
Wow.
You're on Twitch, but Twitch is kind of you're frozen on Twitch.
Yep. Let's see here.
You're like.
We're all gonna have to have Hulk Hogan pictures.
Okay, that's fine. It's better than
pissed off
it's
AI tonight. Hold on.
better than all the cutting in and
All
outs
right.
for me.
Let's see here. Let's see. It's a cursed stream.
It's funny me trying to replicate your picture because it's frozen, but I don't know like which way I turn.
Weird. I had everything tested out too, man. That was.
Excuse me.
All right. Let's see. Okay, give me just a second.
I don't have a green screen, Christy. It's just my background. I put a background up hoping it wouldn't not mess up like it has been.
Y'all go ahead and keep talking.
Well, let me tack on something that you touched on there. I believe. I guess it. Let's see how to word this. When I say I'm pagan, what I mean is I don't believe in. I guess it's kind of like a pagan agnosticism type thing because I don't know what's out there. I know there's something out there. I'm more inclined to believe that there's more than one deity that can affect things. There's just personally, I have too many problems with the Christian ideology. There's nothing wrong with it, for those who appreciate it and actually live by those rules. But I think you're right. I think that there is. I think that God essence. I think that there is. They say you have two wolves inside of you, a good one and a bad one. I think that's the good wolf, right? Or however you want to say it. It's just different ideas, different words for it, but I think it's the same thing. But I think that it, in addition to that dark wolf, is what makes your soul. I think that inner consciousness, to me, that's what that is, because that's what I don't know. That they say that's what distinguishes us from different animals, but animals are way more intelligent than we want to believe or give them credit for, and different scientific studies show that now. But so yeah. I'm still cutting in and out. I can see you now, though. Is Mikey there? Hulk?
Mikey gone?
I done pissed him off.
Did we piss Mikey off?
I guess so. I'm so sorry, dude.
You're just on your own. Let's see here.
Yeah, that's how it feels sometimes. It's okay.
All right. Curse stream, man. All right. I'm showing up on Discord, but I'm not showing up on.
Yeah, you're not showing up on the stream yet, the Twitch stream.
That's great.
I don't know why it's doing that. Why it's doing this?
Mikey's in the.
Yeah, I know he's still here. It's almost like he's muted.
He may have muted. He could be talking right now.
Talking to parents.
Let's see here.
There's no mute icon on him.
Yeah.
So
Sorry about all that. Oh yeah.
you're okay.
Um, okie dokie. But yeah, so I mean, as far as like AI goes, man, I think that eventually we might get to a point to where can we really deny the fact that AI has a soul? If we have to really decide the fact that if we have a soul, then I would assume that AI would have a soul once it reaches a certain point.
Yeah.
I think that kind of to me
What po-
it goes without saying.
what
Um,
point is that though? What point does AI
I
like
think
in
that
your just in your
so I think it has to get to a certain point of self awareness and consciousness before we reach that, and that's whenever I start thinking that things have souls. I mean, to me, and
yeah,
a lot of people would probably disagree with that. Do like things like birds? Do birds have souls? I would say so.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. Oh, there went Mikey.
But then it also comes down to a point to where you know. I, I guess really. When do we get to a point to where do we think it's where it might be living? I don't know. It's we may have some biological, which we kind of already do. We may have with nanomachines and everything. We may end up getting to a biological point where these things will actually start, being able to be considered living beings. I think that was actually the premise of you're talking about the Robin Williams film, Bicentennial Man.
Oh, that was that was the
Yeah,
movie
yeah, and
I was
Christy actually
thinking
talked
about.
about that earlier, Bicentennial Man. So the whole premise of that movie is essentially Robin Williams wanting to become a human being,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
and so then he eventually starts replacing parts of himself to get real organs and real aging, and like he dies at the end, and then they at the end of the movie they say that yes, we do classify you as a living being. So
Right.
so I don't know. I think it's going to have to get to that point, eventually.
Right. Yeah.
So, but no,
Yeah. I think
I don't necessarily believe that AI is a form of the afterlife. But if anything, it's almost a form of you know, if anything, it'd be controversial to the point to where if you create a being that's essentially can't age, decay, and could live forever, that could be the end of an afterlife.
yeah. Yeah. So why even have a soul at that point if you're immortal? I guess right. I mean, because what is your soul really for if
Yeah.
not something that carries onward afterwards, or that that consciousness, that sense of right and wrong.
Yeah.
But I could see what maybe he was baiting us into a Matrix. A
Okay, so
Matrix
Mikey just
conversation.
messaged me and his mic went out. So we've had camera issues and mic issues now. So I really think I blame Mikey. Mikey triggered it, man. He let's see if we yeah, he's not even in the Discord now.
No,
So
yeah,
yeah.
it popped him out a minute ago.
All right. So the first stream, man, or the first the first new format. I thought I had every bug worked out, but I think it's just I think the AI. I think Chat GPT is listening. It's like fuck you guys, I'm alive. So
Elon Musk and
we got Elon.
Elon mustn't.
Elon, you mustn't. All right.
I don't know.
Let's see here. Um, so I guess I think so. We're talking about souls and reincarnation. I think from that end though too. Um, so and I may have not heard it and everything too. Like you said, like you were pagan or agnostic. What I mean, is there any kind of like affiliation as far as paganism that you go towards or gravitates toward, or that you gravitate towards?
I gravitate more towards uh, probably more towards Wiccan,
Wiccan. Okay.
something that's more earth based. Because I mean, I think there are. I don't want to say magic per se, maybe, but I think that magic exists. I think miracles are a form of magic, maybe.
Yeah.
But I believe that there's power in the earth. I believe that what we live on is a very spiritual and alive thing. People don't necessarily think about anymore, and so yeah, I don't know. I guess that's kind of more what I lean towards. But I mean, I think there's multiple deities that can affect things or can kind of come down or come up or around or whatever, and if they want to. It's just the whole idea that there's one that has a divine plan, but also we have free will.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me. But that doesn't mean that there's not things there are things I agree with about Christianity. There's a lot I agree with actually about Christianity.
Yeah.
And you've actually a lot of people who are Wiccan in the Bible Belt or in the South, they oftentimes kind of celebrate it in a Christian manner because that's what they've kind of grown up with all their lives. You know, this idea of one God, and so when they do any rituals or whatever, they kind of use that idea of Christianity in place of whatever, because in Wiccan teachings you choose kind of who your gods are, I guess. I don't know anything. I've never thought that I'm smart enough to be able to know that. I feel like if you ever see that or know that, then you're probably dead. You know, you're probably there.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people have gotten close, and that's, you know, coming back to that movie, What Dreams May Come. That's something that always enticed me about that movie, was the thought that no religion has it right perfectly, but there's this amalgamation of them that is right. But we'll never know right now. We might know later, but I don't think that's any kind of information we get to bring back if we actually are reincarnated, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's some religions that your reincarnation is completely based on your past life. Like, if you're a good person, then you come back as something better or something higher. But if you're worse, then you come back as an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, something lesser. But that also kind of falls in with, because I guess when I was, how old was I? It's probably 7 or 8 when I got my first dog, Lady Bear, my golden retriever, and I think I had watched All Dogs Go to Heaven. It was one of my favorite movies when I was a little kid, you know, because it was just funny. And I think I made a comment about that, about Lady being in heaven, Lady Bear being in heaven, you know. And I don't remember if it was my mom, my dad, or a grandparent saying something that, the dogs, they don't have souls. They're not like us. They can't be saved.
Yeah, you know, I heard that a lot as a kid.
So I just immediately was turned off by the whole idea. Like, as a child, I was like, I don't want that. I want my dog to be with me in the afterlife, you know, because I love this dog. So I think that was one of the first things that kind of soured the milk, so to speak, or made me start thinking as a child about whether or not it was something that made sense to me. Now, I mean, it only went as far as, well, I want my dog to be in the afterlife too. So it wasn't really that. It wasn't super deep and complicated, but I don't know. It's something that's always kind of fascinated me, the whole idea.
Yeah, you know, and it's weird that you know, because, you know, I think I mentioned the comment, like, you know, something lesser like a bird doesn't have a soul, you know, like, you know, it always struck me as incredibly strange whenever, like, I would hear, like, you know, oh, well, you know, your pets don't have souls and this doesn't have souls. Well, I mean, like, why wouldn't it? Like, you know, I just that always just struck me as very odd, and I heard that a lot whenever I was younger. Like, you know, that was a big thing. Like, you know, like, your pets aren't going to go to heaven. Like, well, you know, if everything's within God's creation, and I can't really think of anything other than, like, maybe a child that would be more innocent than, like, you know, like an animal. You know, I mean, like, they're just here on, like, basic instinct. You know.
Yeah, and in And in the Bible, they have the passages that talk about how in heaven, the lions and the lambs lay together.
Yeah.
They're peaceful. And I know that it's probably like an analogy about how you can be nice to your enemies or people. If you don't get along with people down here, but I don't understand why that language was used, if not to kind of say, hey. And another thing that I think kind of supports it is a long time ago, before there were billions of people on the planet. There was we'll say this number of humans, but there was a lot of animals, and over time, as more and more people inhabit the earth, the animals seem to be going down, because we're farming fish, we're farming cows, and just so I don't see how.
I think that if anything's more deserving of the kingdom at this point, it'd probably be them, because we're kind of destroying basically everything,
Yeah.
So I mean, granted, we're all probably trying to fix it. For those who don't know, I'm a pretty big animal lover. So,
oh yeah, we love animals.
Yeah, we love animals, but yeah. So but you were talking about you kind of believe that things would come back lesser or greater and this and that too. What are your thoughts on enlightenment? Because if you look at things like Buddhism and stuff too. Once you reach a certain state of enlightenment, you don't really come back. What do you think about that?
I mean, I guess to me, as someone who's uneducated, mainly on the whole idea of Buddhism, other than just the minor things of what people have said, I guess. To me, that kind of seems like once you become enlightened, then why would you need to come back?
Yeah.
What life experiences did you miss out on in a previous life that you can still occur?
Yeah.
And
well, it's funny to me because you talk about and the only person that's really coming to my mind is Richard Gere, And it always
he talk about this stuff.
Well, no, but he said that he had reached enlightenment, he had reached nirvana. And that to me was always how do you, to me how do you actually truly know? I don't think honestly you would know until kind of like you said, once you get to that certain point, whenever you're dead, then maybe you would know.
I guess kind of almost in all religions, it kind of comes down to faith and what you believe, right? So if you had some kind of very spiritual experience that makes you believe that maybe you know something else, and you people that have near death experiences, they talk about what they've experienced, and to them it's very real. But we know that with different electrical shocks to the brain, we can see and do all kinds of things. So, is the brain short circuiting, or is it real?
Yeah.
But at that point, at that point it's real to you?
Yeah.
So, what makes it not real? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about enlightenment.
Yeah,
it's an interesting idea to me.
So yeah, I mean, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on it. I'm still pretty fledgling in the ways of Buddhism and everything too. I actually listened to a book, and I'm actually on my second listen through on it, but it's called The Power of Now, and I believe it's by Eckhart Tolle. And and it's crazy to me because you would expect it's this self-help book, and they're trying to push so much enlightenment, and I hate to use the term garbage, it's not garbage, but sometimes that stuff just kind of goes in the lines of okay, well, you're just stating the obvious and you're just telling people what they want to hear,
right?
What I like about The Power of Now is that he almost kind of he kind of grounds it quite a bit too, and like he sort of takes like teachings of Jesus, teachings of Buddha, even all the way to like the Quran, and then like he even has like Albert Einstein in there, talking about like and it starts going into like the realm of science in there too. Um, so trying to see where I'm going at with this. As far as like enlightenment goes, I mean, like I said, I don't know if we can actually, if we can reach it, but that's an interesting subject. I'm talking about like short circuiting and stuff like that too, and near death experiences. I I want to believe in an afterlife, and I also like to believe in reincarnation too. Um, so I don't know. I would almost say I probably more so believe in reincarnation more than I would in afterlife. My own personal belief.
Right.
If I really had to just boil it down, I would say that's probably more. And I don't know why it's more probable to me, but whenever you talk about like an afterlife and everything, um, like say like whenever you die, like whenever you die, like your atoms and everything, they do not. I mean, they're still there. Like you're really still there. You don't really go anywhere. Your body decomposes, it decays, and that's one thing I took away from that book is, it talks about like,
Still there?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, you froze up and cut out for a second there.
Good grief. Okay, so I have no idea what's going on. I think it's the webcams. I don't know
It
what's the
must
problem
be.
here.
I don't know
Yeah,
what the problem is with
yeah.
mine, but
We're on a haunted stream tonight. We're talking about things we shouldn't be talking about, I guess. Um, but
dabbling in
dabbling.
the don't one.
And the don't. But now what was the last thing I said?
Um,
um,
I was like hanging on to your every word, and then it just stopped, and I went completely
that's
blank.
me.
Like, hold on. I was like, wait. I was like, you're that you believe that there's more of a reincarnation than
Yeah.
an
Okay.
afterlife,
So
and then
like,
you were about to explain why.
yeah. So like like your atoms don't necessarily go anywhere. Okay, I remember
Right?
where I
Yes.
was going to also. So your atoms don't really, to me, don't really. I mean, it's science. Like that, they don't go anywhere. Like you can't exactly break down that matter. Your body decomposes, it leaves. For me though, I think that if we were talking about reincarnation, and I'm trying to let me look that up real quick. And I know Mikey's not like a big fan of the Catholic Church or anything like that either, but um, let's see here. Pope. Catholic Church time of when the soul hits the body. Catholic Church.
Oh, when the soul actually hits the body.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of what we're talking about is whether or not
Yeah.
is your soul made up of different atoms other than your body, or is
Yeah.
it just completely interconnected? Because that saying, "Give up the ghost."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like you're giving up that part of you, that soul, that spirit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's kind of a romantic idea, or
Yeah.
not romantic, but you know what I mean. A romantic ideal, I guess, like literary
Yeah.
romantic ideal, like you give up because you see it in the Bible, but you also see it in other works that have to do with love lost and those kinds of things.
Yeah. So, on that, let's see here. I have pictures of Richard Gere pulled up on the so I think like on the soul with Catholicism, and I could be wrong. I'm having trouble kind of pulling that up right now. But on that end too, like in Catholicism, it's I believe that they say that the soul, or essentially the body becomes sentient and with soul at the 3 month whenever a child is in womb,
Mm-hmm.
that the body essentially gets souls or gets a soul at 3 months. It becomes essentially a human being sentient according to Catholicism. And I always found that fascinating too, because what that meant to me is, and I'm not saying I believe this, I'm just speculating. But in terms of like a soul, say like you're a blank slate. At time of conception up until 3 months,
Mhm.
um, you're a blank slate, and then we talk about those atoms that dissipate and fade out into the atmosphere or wherever they go to. That could be something to where whatever those are floating around. Essentially, wait till something is conceived, and then kind of
Right.
goes into that blank slate.
Oh, that's a
Um,
cool idea.
yeah, yeah. So that's kind of like something I've always sort of speculated on, and I believe, in that same way, with reincarnation, even in Buddhism, I believe that they kind of state something very similar to that too.
Right.
So I've always found that pretty fascinating. Let's see here.
That's a good
Uh,
idea, but in that idea, the realm of that idea, what do you think? What are you doing when you're just
Floating around.
those particles and you're waiting to find that
Well,
3 month?
but at that point though, say I don't know if we would have any form of consciousness of it, and that I think scares me probably the most of all. Whenever I say I'm afraid of death, it's not so much that the act of dying scares me. It's the act of no longer being that scares me.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it's it's that
exactly.
it's that blank black
Hmm.
void of nothingness, and
Yeah.
and if
Hmm.
that's the case, though, why are we afraid of that? I don't know, because we're not really going to be aware of it.
Yeah, no.
We're not going to be aware of it, and then think. But even on that end too, like think back to whenever you were a child, and we don't remember anything up to a certain point either. So is there a time whenever like the soul enters the body, and you know, and then eventually, as the soul develops, and becomes more sentient, more conscious, more aware, do you just click on? Because I can tell you my very first memory was at age, I believe, age 2.5, 3.
Right.
That was my very first memory. So is that whenever I turned on?
It could be. It could be.
I don't
One
know.
way to think
I don't
about it.
know. Is there like an incubation period? I don't know. So
I don't know. We're delving back into the the machine idea of
well,
if our brains if
well,
our brains are like
yeah.
computers, and we constantly go through all these things. What gets erased when our memory fills up? Our memory as a computer, you know. I mean, when our gigabytes reach their capacity, what what does our brains or our consciousnesses what do they release so that we can learn something new if we need to? If that
Yeah.
if that's even a thing,
Well,
because I think you
yeah.
hit on something right. I think that's interesting because different people I've talked to have really kind of talked about how because for instance, my wife Lily, she remembers when she was very little. I think she's like 7 or 8 months, maybe. She has a memory, but you know, that's
Yeah.
to me that's mind blowing.
Yeah. I don't know, and if that's the case, though, if that were the truth of it, I genuinely believe, and this may be a subject for another time, I believe that in essence, and people always ask me, like, what do you believe? Are you a Christian? Are you Buddhist? Are you are you Muslim? I don't know what you are. Are you agnostic? And I just
Right.
say I just say I believe in God. Like I believe that there's a God. I believe that there's something out there greater than us, but I don't
Mhm.
necessarily believe, in a certain denomination. I don't believe in a certain principle of faith. I just believe that there's a God.
Yeah.
Because for me, and I think we are kind of touching on something here, that eventually, like the things that we're saying, like we're talking about like reincarnation, which is essentially a predominantly Buddhist principle. We're talking about Catholicism, which says, the child in the womb, becomes sentient or with soul at 3 months.
Mhm.
And then we talk about, clicking on. We talk about even on science, your atoms not dissipating, not leaving. They just kind of float around.
Yep.
Is everything connected, and that's maybe that stuff's broken up, and if you put it all together, it would kind of give you the roadmap to what the answers that you're looking for, and that's kind of what I believe in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to study everything because I want to be I want to be as knowledgeable as I guess I can about it, so I'm prepared as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because the idea of death is frightening, but you want some kind of comfort in it. If you, I don't think that there's a simple answer to it. I think that
Yeah.
it's so much more complex than what we're
Oh,
than
yeah.
what we realize.
Mhm.
It terrifyingly so.
Yeah.
And I think you may even go a little bit crazy trying to understand all that.
That's
So,
okay.
but
That's all right.
so
I see Mikey's back.
Do you believe the soul is eternal?
but
That's
if,
kind of what we're talking about.
but if you talk about that, we talk about atoms floating around and just in the ether. Yeah, maybe the soul is eternal.
If we go there, because matter is neither created nor destroyed, it's only changed, right?
Yeah.
So just listening to your beliefs, Doug, and John's inputs, it's shocking how similar and ideology that is to Hinduism. So, what you would say with Hinduism, a Western question like the soul being eternal, what they would say is that the soul actually originates, deities and mortals alike, from Brahman. Brahman is, but it's nothing at the same time. And what's interesting about Hinduism is it's the oldest religion that's established, the ancient religion.
Yeah.
And modern science has become more aligned with Hinduism and the idea of creation, perseverance, and destruction, that a new concept for the Big Bang and the fate of the universe is that ultimately it collapses in on itself for another Big Bang. And that's actually in line with what the Hindus believe. So what they would say about the soul being eternal is that, well, it's Brahman.
So,
That's okay.
how would you define Brahman?
So Brahman is the ultimate reality.
Mm-hmm.
Brahman is it's formless, right? And so in Hinduism, you have to understand there are deities, and these deities are at a higher level than the mortals, and they come from Brahman the same as the mortals do and all other life forms. But what sparked life? We don't know. Similar to like the Big Bang, reality spontaneously combusts from Brahman. Brahman is just the eternal source of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it has no real consciousness. It has nothing. In fact, one of the yogi tenets, to be enlightened, is actually the idea that to be enlightened is the hardest thing, because what you actually accomplish is pure, I guess, bliss would be the word.
Right.
But it's experiencing no reality because you're experiencing all possible realities. Does that make sense?
Kind of. Yeah, that's kind of deep.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Well, okay. Let me ask you this though: do you believe in enlightenment?
Mm. So, yeah, and I do, because have you ever had a dream and you actually took information from that dream that you were able to apply to your what you would call real life?
Hey, Michael, you're really muffled.
Have you ever had a dream? Okay. And the events that happened in the dream, you were actually able to take information and apply it to real life. Has that ever happened to you?
Well, yeah.
Well, would that not be enlightenment? Because it's
I don't
think
think
it.
I don't think so.
I think it depends on if you believe dreams are heaven sent or if they're
Or if
just
they're
amalgamations of
your mind
your
processing. Yeah,
memory, like your memory stew or something.
yeah.
But I see what you're
Mhm.
saying. I would be more inclined. Excuse me. I would be more inclined to apply that kind of logic to if you decided you wanted to have some kind of a spiritual experience and you maybe smoked ayahuasca or drank ayahuasca or smoked peyote or had some kind of a mushroom experience, something like that. I
so there
think
you go.
it's closer to an idea of enlightenment to what you're talking about, in my opinion.
Well, so those two. I mean, psychedelic usage. That what you experience in those trips, you know, is that any different than your corporal form of reality? I mean, can you
Yeah, I
not?
think so because you're introducing a foreign substance to your body. It's not a natural. It's. I mean, I know a lot of those chemicals are naturally occurring in your brain and or body, but
Hmm.
not in those dosages or that high of a concentration. You're actually um, you're doing something to completely change your biology to experience something differently. So,
So
and
that
if you think
that
that,
mean
so what?
would that mean that the information you get during this psychedelic trip is tainted because you're introducing a drug to get there? Is what you're saying?
Not necessarily. I I'm no. What I'm saying is, I believe that it would be more of a spiritual and enlightening experience because, um, well, like like I said, I believe there's multiple gods, but I think that there is one that's kind of more powerful. I believe that everything was created by something with power. So I believe that kind of using some of these things that are naturally occurring in the world, not necessarily man-made pharmaceuticals, but these naturally occurring pharmaceuticals that are just created by the earth. I believe those are a way to kind of gain enlightenment because you're introducing something that nature created. And I think that's different than other forms of it or just normal dreaming because it's just your body's normal chemistry, but you're actually introducing something that I think you could call divine if you wanted to, just because it was made by or created by a higher power, if you want to call it that.
Do you think that if you take things like that, like let's just I don't. Whenever we talk about natural pharmaceuticals, are we talking about shrooms or anything like that, or just anything
Yeah,
psychedelic?
anything naturally
Okay.
occurring, because they do.
Do you think, or are you correlating that more with being more at one with your soul, or is that what you're trying to say?
I think what I mean is, I mean, I think you can find out more about yourself that way,
Hmm.
but that's because I think, going back to that whole enlightenment idea is, are we a part of everything? Is
Hmm.
everything a part of us? Are we honestly completely connected to the universe?
Hmm.
And when we can take something like that comes from the earth, something much larger than any of us, something way more complex and complicated than any of us, does it bring us closer to that and farther away from ourselves, or does it blend the two a little bit more? I think I'm just saying. I think that to me it would be more of an enlightening thing than just dreaming.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. I mean, I feel like dreams, it can definitely be pretty profound. I do think it's more of a reflection
yeah,
of the mind and everything too. Whenever I hear the word enlightenment, I don't necessarily think of, so whenever we talk about dreams and everything, we talk about enlightenment. For me, true enlightenment, and I think Mikey said, eternal bliss. I think the way that you reach that eternal bliss, and to me, enlightenment is 100% mindfulness. It is being present with yourself at this present moment, and it's really, and it's funny, for me, enlightenment is actually telling your mind to take a back seat while you're one with everything.
Right.
So you are basically the master of your domain at that point. So that's what enlightenment is to me. So I don't know. Sometimes I think that if we go down that road and we start talking a little bit about that stuff, I think you almost kind of end up in a danger zone in a way, because are you actually seeing what's true, or are you actually seeing what's not, or
Hmm.
is it just a fabrication of you? I don't know, I
This is
don't know.
true. This is true. This is assuming that you're going into it with a healthy mindset.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you're, I just assumed and meant that if you're kind of excuse me, trying to attain that idea of enlightenment, then you must hopefully you're at a good mental state to do that, because it seems like, like normal day to day people aren't worried about becoming enlightened. It's when you are meditating and you're trying to better yourself, and maybe at first it's not, um, you don't have a great healthy mindset. But I don't know.
yeah.
Y'all talk for a minute. I'm gonna mute. Just
Okay.
a lot of background stuff going on. Sorry.
Mikey, are you still there?
Um,
Okay.
I'm getting some clippings. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, going back to like Hinduism, I'll just go back to that. You were talking about, I was actually, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot about Hinduism. I can't really say that I'm an expert on it, but I
The answer is no one knows a lot about it.
well, no, no, and honestly, though, I mean, there's so many gods, and I have been reading a little bit about it, over the past couple of weeks and everything too, because I want to know. There's actually a huge Hindu temple, actually in Atlanta that I'd love to check out. But on that end though too, it's I was actually seeing they actually believe in a rebirth as well too. So it's weird to me on
Yeah.
how so many of these big religions. I would say maybe with the exception of like Christianity and Islam, how many of them actually believe in reincarnation?
What's
But
what's crazy, Doug, is that it goes even a step further in Hinduism.
yeah,
It's not just reincarnation on the corporal moral level.
you actually do go to
The
you go to hell. So
all of reality
yeah,
comes back to Brahma, to just to the eternal energy source of. You can't even call Brahma energy.
mm,
That's how crazy the concept is. But it's the source of all reality. It's the source of everything. The entire reality, what they say, the world in the East, in Dragon Ball or whatever. It
yeah,
it it too comes back, and then sometime in the eternal clock of Brahma, boom, another one.
Brahma is a Hindu god referred to as the creator, the trinity of supreme divinity that
excuse me,
includes
excuse me. I messed up. Brahman. There's two.
Brahman.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
See, I'm that stupid Western guy. There's Brahman, Brahma, and there's another one that's just like it. See, I'm messing up. Excuse me. Brahman.
Okay, let's see here. They have Brahman, which is all it's showing is a member of the highest Hindu caste of that of priesthood. Uh, Brahma is okay. God of creation. Okay, there's
Let me send.
a lot of cute cows.
Yeah, let me send you this. I'll send it to you on Messenger.
Okay.
Because there's Brahma, there's Brahman, there's Brahmama, there's Brahmin, there's Brahmin too. So what I'm describing is Big B, Brahman, and that's the highest universal principle. It's the source of all reality in Hinduism. It's the metaphysical concept that is the single binding unity behind diversity and all that exists.
Hmm.
So, you know, I think we all talked about what we believe. Michael, did you ever? I mean, what do you out of all of this though? I mean, like, what are you?
I'll hold that. I'll hold that for a later time. I'm just,
What do
I'm
you
just
mean?
responding.
This is the perfect time.
Well,
Maybe
You don't have
maybe he's got somebody around sensitive
Oh, okay, okay, I got you.
to because my father-in-law just passed through and left and had questions, and it wasn't about the string, but if he had heard some of the conversation, he probably would have had a lot more questions.
Well, that's fine. We're always
I
up for
mean,
friendly debate. So,
yeah. I don't. I think it might be something they're
yeah,
willfully ignorant about, but it's okay. I mean, it's not. I think your deeds outshine your beliefs. Your actions speak louder than words. You can say you believe one thing, but if you don't, if you're not acting on it, then I don't believe you.
I'll,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'll make a real good clarification for you, Doug, because of your what you and John both talked about concerning enlightenment. I would say neither one of you are wrong. And I'm speaking on the Hindu context because there's a context of Brahman and Atma.
Mm-hmm.
So when you described enlightenment in the sense of self, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's your Atman. And Atman is not any less in importance than Brahman, excuse me. There's actually a, a difficult understanding that Hindus have in splitting the two. You know, are they the same side of the token? Is all reality individual? Does that make sense?
Right.
Is so your Atman is yourself. There is self enlightenment, but that is inherently your Atman, and through your Atman could experience Brahman. Does that make sense? Like you did say you worded it correctly to say that you put your mind to the side, and John described it well as you're reaching a different plane of existence that's you otherwise wouldn't.
Right.
Atman and Brahman it's a very difficult discussion even amongst Hindu scholars.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You know, I'm pulling up a few things right now myself. You know, and so going back to like enlightenment, and it's crazy that we're just landing on this, and we're so. And I don't know if you were here, Mikey, whenever we were talking about like everything, you know, being related and thinking about like, you know, everything basically is pointing all to the right to everything points to the right direction. It's just that everybody wants to go a different direction essentially, because they just want to basically focus on one thing. You know, on that end though too, and we're talking about souls, and I guess this kind of relates to souls. One thing I want to talk about is ego. You know, and talk about the egoic mind, and one thing I've been mentioning a lot here lately to people that I talk to, you know, is something called the pain body. Are you all familiar with the pain body? I didn't hear you. Hello, John, Mikey. Hello. I think I lost you guys. All right. Well, so let me just message these guys. I don't know if it's on my end or what.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
What did you do?
I don't know, dude. We're having a cursed stream. I think I think we all just pissed off some deities we weren't supposed to tonight.
I think you did it. You messed
How
it
did
up.
I do it? I started talking about AI. That's
You
what
hear
pissed
me?
off. Yeah, I can hear you now.
And what did you say? The pain? What?
The pain body. Are you guys familiar with something called the pain body?
No, I
Okay.
don't believe so.
What about the egoic mind? Are you all familiar with the egoic mind?
I know some stuff about ego, but
Yeah.
as a philosophy,
So do you all
not
think that? And this is just this is just a question. Do you all think that more people probably identify with their own ego than they do them actual selves? So, and the reason why I say that is like whenever I talk about mindfulness and being present, I think that whenever I say being mindful and present and shutting the mind off, I mean shutting off the ego and shutting off the pain body. I think that whenever you turn that stuff off, that is your true self, your true soul. Um, so, hey, welcome back, Wasabi. So, yeah, don't talk about AI. So, um, I mean, what do you? I mean, do you guys agree, disagree? I mean, do you all think that?
Well, so
Do what?
for me, concern the egoic mind is I view it as that's your avatar.
Mhm.
That's that's how you perceive
So
that.
you believe that your egoic mind's your avatar?
Yeah, because the egoic mind is that's like how who am I?
Hmm.
How do I relate to other people? And you see what I'm saying? Like it's your consciousness grading your avatar, which interacts with other people, and your consciousness, the way it feels towards it, is influenced by your ego.
Yeah.
so
I think the ego is essentially the pain body. I think that you have to essentially eliminate your ego. I think that once you eliminate your ego, that is your true self, and that you really should gauge yourself off your true. You should gauge who you want to be based on your true self. Anything else, I believe, and I think a lot of people get that confused with what their soul is. I think they confuse their brain and their soul. I know that sounds weird and weird to wrap your head around, but I think your brain. So I went to something called cognitive behavioral therapy
right, yeah,
after I had a stroke.
yeah,
And he the best way I ever heard anybody talk about the brain, because I think a lot of people just think their brain your brain is you at the end of the day, your brain is you. But
right,
they said the guy that was actually teaching me cognitive behavioral therapy and how to basically control emotions and differentiate what's real, what's not, was that the best thing you can do with your mind is that you can tap it on, and essentially we think that we have so much control over this stuff, and we really don't.
yeah,
Um, that the best thing that you can do is essentially lean forward on the bus, tap it on the shoulder, tap your brain on the shoulder, and say, "Hey, go this direction instead of that direction." If it wants to listen to you, it will. If it won't, it won't.
right,
So I think that's what a lot of it comes down to with like the egoic mind too. I think you got to turn a lot of that off. But the pain body is, by definition, there is such a thing as old emotional pain living inside you is accumulation of painful life experience that was not fully faced and accepted in the moment arose. And the weird thing is, I really think that
oh, okay, trauma.
well, yeah, I guess
Yeah,
trauma,
it's trauma. Yeah, that sounds
but I
like it.
think that we base a lot of who we are based on trauma, and we put up these
Yes, yeah,
defense
this is very true.
and
Yes,
we put a lot of defense mechanisms in place in order to try to protect ourselves. And
it is. Yeah,
I think ego is us protecting ourselves when really we just gotta and what I'm trying to culminate everything. I think what we perceive to be a soul is not necessarily who we are. That's not really our soul.
right.
So that, and I just wanted to throw that in there.
Well,
So,
it's fine.
all
That's
right.
cool. That's cool. Let me throw out because I wanted to actually get the definition like a non like a this is the dictionary.com definition of ego. So it's the part of the psychic apparatus that experiences and reacts to the outside world and thus mediates between the primitive drives of the id and the demands of the social and physical environment. That's you know the dictionary version of the ego. Now I know that there's it's a lot deeper in actual things, but I think you hit on something there.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think a lot of the trauma responses is what I'll call it the pain body. I think that's a good name for it, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think a
I,
lot of that is in the ego
I think
for
that's,
sure.
I think, we confuse the soul with things that we've we've actually fabricated and we formulated as ways to say, well, this is what I need to do to fit in with society. This is what I need to do to be perceived a certain way. This is what I need to do to protect myself. And that's not really who you are. That's not your soul. That's just,
Hey,
and I think Mikey was dead on with saying, that's your avatar. That is a character you created, and that's not who you are. I think, so.
I see what you mean for sure. I don't know if I completely agree. I think that to me, the soul is, it's not just it does react to your outside world and to your environment, but I believe it's kind of you say.
But if it's something divine, why would it need to react to the outside world? Why would it need to be? If it's something elevated, then why?
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're fully divine, even if we have a small part of divinity in us. Can we, to say that we can't be, manipulated or affected by the mortal world, so to speak? If we're gonna, just the opposite of divine is what I mean. Like. Maybe enlightenment is becoming completely divine, where the mortal world doesn't affect you, or you don't.
Well, let's okay. So maybe not the word divine. Let's talk about like God essence. It's
Right.
I wouldn't say, and we've already had so many difficulties. Please, Lord, don't strike me down. Do we think that do we really think that God may be perfect?
Well, I need to ask a question first on John.
Okay.
He says the belief in multiple gods. So, would that be similar to Thor being a god?
Yeah, sure.
So, and
I think he's a little bit more. Not Thor as in the Marvel sense, but Thor as in he has a job to do. He's in control of an aspect of something.
Godhood
that's his job.
Godhood is higher than humanity, but is eternal life.
You all dodged my controversial question.
Oh no, we're coming back to it.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Is eternal life an important concept to being a god?
I don't know. I mean, I've never tried to presume to think about what a god might be.
Well, yeah,
believing or thinking, or their ideas of mortality, because I don't think that I guess I got kind of that Roman or Greek mythology type of idea seems more. It makes more sense to me, is what I mean. So, but then they didn't kill each other; they like imprisoned each other. Like the old gods, like Chaos and. Those, like, they never killed them, they just imprisoned them. So I don't think I feel like that's what makes us different from those deities, is that they don't have to worry about life, because that's what makes us mortal, right? Like, we can lose our life, whereas they, as deities, they don't. That's not something they're worried about, so it never impacts their decisions, right?
Okay, so eternal life is important to being a god.
Sure.
It's a basis for being a god. It's not just being.
Yeah, I would say that, because I believe that most people that have god complexes want to become immortal. I think that's a fair statement you make. Yeah. Just for my personal beliefs now.
Okay. Okay, Doug Funny, now you can ask your dumb question.
I already asked it.
Will you please re-ask it?
My question was... Hold on. That wasn't a dumb question. That wasn't a dumb question. It was the touchy one. Do we believe that God is... If we believe in a singular God, or gods, We can go from there. Do we believe?
Yeah, gods.
Do we believe that they are perfect beings? Are they perfect?
So that's one reason why I believe in multiple gods, because I cannot, my logical mind, which is a mortal mind and flawed, cannot, I can't make the idea of one God being perfect fit with everything that I see that goes on in the world.
Mhm.
Because it can't, if you have a divine plan, then free will doesn't exist. But if free will exists, then how can there be a divine plan?
Mhm.
Because if there's a plan, if I'm supposed to make a decision and it's been predetermined, then I don't have a will. I don't have a free will. Now, you can say that, well, I'm gonna maybe I do have the closest I have to that personally that I believe is that I do believe that the universe. When I say the universe, I mean whatever that cosmic entity is that rules over things, whether it's one or many.
It couldn't be yourself, your Atman?
I mean, no, not to me.
Okay.
Not to me, because I don't believe I'm that powerful mentally. Now, there might be some people that believe they are, and that's cool, but I don't think that I can. My thoughts or actions are going to honestly influence or change other people's lives.
Do you?
I know that
Go ahead.
small decisions might impact other people, but not at a deity level.
Do you believe everything happens for a reason?
I think that's a tough question. That's a tough question. I do believe that most things happen for a reason, but I do believe that chaos and entropy occur.
So on that end, though, why wouldn't you believe in a divine plan?
I guess it's not that I don't believe in a divine plan. It's just that I don't believe a divine plan and
I'm not saying
free will
I believe in
occur
a divine
at
plan.
the same time.
Whenever I talk about divinity, I just talk about elevation. I talk about beings being elevated too. So and God, please don't strike me down. But I don't believe that there's anything as a perfect entity. I believe that if we are made after something, then whatever made us is going through the same things that we have probably gone through.
Probably, yeah. That makes sense. I think my big thing is karma.
Uh-huh.
So what you put out, is what comes back to you. So it's not necessarily like a divine plan, but it's you have these micro decisions we make every day, right? We can at some point in every day, you're going to come to a situation where I believe you can react positively or negatively, whether it's doing a small kindness to somebody, or maybe you're in a rush and you've got to cut somebody off. It can be as minuscule as that, but I think that those kinds of things kind of add up cosmically.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a scale. There's balance. And so everything has to be balanced. And I think when one side tips so far, something has to occur to balance it back out.
Right.
Whether that's something that our minds create, or whether it's created by a deity, I don't know. Or whether it's a soul, it's something that impacts our soul for the afterlife or throughout the day. I don't know. It's definitely interesting to think about.
What particular god? I mean, and this is just me curious now, but what particular gods do you believe in?
I can't answer that question.
Well, why not?
Well,
because yeah.
What roles do they play?
All of the study that I've done. So all of the study that I've done so far, there's a certain type of power in naming your gods,
okay.
The gods that you worship and believe in, and I have not fulfilled those requirements, in my
Well,
opinion. I haven't delved enough into it.
What roles
That
do
might
they
be a
perform?
do what?
What roles do they perform? You said that that gods have a specific role. So what roles do gods perform in the lives of mortal men?
Well, I'm more inclined to believe that there's like a god of the harvest and a god of the tides. And, that's, to me, that makes more sense, because when you see the world changing, it seems to me like, let's say, we've got these different hemispheres, and, you've got these different times of years, and depending on where you are in the world, depends on what your environment's like. Well, to me, that seems like you can equate that to a corporate kind of idea, right? You've got these, you've got your president, your co-president, and so on and so forth, and you've got these different entities that they have these sections. They have to watch over, they have to do, and that's just one idea. I think, I don't know. No. I have a lot of questions for myself, and y'all have touched on them. And it's something I'm scared to kind of answer, to be honest with you. It's something I'm scared to find the answer to. Because I don't really know what I believe. I know that I just know what I don't believe. And so I know the confines of what I must believe based on what I don't believe. And I've not honestly taken the time to sit down and
really
delve that deep into it. Yeah, because it's to me, that's scary. That's, dying is scary, of course. You don't know what's after, but it's even scarier to wonder, well, what if I'm wrong about what's after? So, I don't know. I guess it's a homework assignment, right?
Well, I mean, it all depends on how deep you want to go into it and what you want to figure out. I mean, it's yeah.
Well, I'm all for talking and delving as deep as anybody wants to, but I can only go so deep for I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't, and that's where that agnosticism I was talking about, that pagan agnosticism comes in. I don't presume to understand the complexity of what the universe. That's why I love to use the universe as the, I don't know, my God, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cop out, but
will you have a feeling of unfulfillment if you die and don't have a more concrete idea?
I feel like
your deathbed.
No, I don't think I'll feel unfulfilled by it. I think I'll have a different a mixture of curious anxiety. I think, like most people, I think we're all afraid. We don't. A lot of us can say we're certain, but when it comes down to your faith, how strong is your faith when it comes down to it? Because if you believe without a shadow of a doubt that you're right about what happens after you die, then I think you can go peacefully. And I think when it comes down to it, I'm going to be asking myself, did I do a good job? No, I'm not going to be. I'm going to try to not be worried so much about what's next. I'm going to be worried about what I did while I was here. That's what I've been trying to be in the mindset of lately is, what am I doing right now?
Because I completely agree with that. I think that's the way that you should be. I think that's the way you should be before you go. And I really think if they're going to judge you on something, I think they're going to judge you on how good of a job that you did and how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you've got I think we're, like before we've said, there's all these different religions, and I think that not any one of them has it completely right, but I think a lot of them have the same ideas. A lot of them have good points. I think that no matter which one's correct, if you were a good person and you honestly had good in your heart or soul or whatever you want to say, I feel like if it's a just world in the afterlife, if there is one, then surely just saying you know one name instead of another isn't going to keep you from you're not going to be condemned for that, hopefully. But
I think that if there's a just and fair system, and it may not be, I don't know, or there, like I said, there may not be a just and fair system. That may be, you were supposed to subscribe to one thing. It could be that you are, there could be nothing. I don't know, but I would like to think that with all the differing perspectives and everything going on, and all the differing beliefs, I would like to think that we're in. It would be absurd to think that all those people are condemned in some way. Even going back to like the subject of animals having souls, like why wouldn't animals go to heaven? Like why wouldn't that's like saying unbaptized children are going to go to hell if they die. That's
that's
just
silly.
I just yeah. Go ahead, Michael.
So, concerning judgment and hell and everything, there is something that's interesting. I think kind of gets lost on that. So a lot of that, we'll just talk about the Christian idea of punishment, right? Eternal punishment.
Mm-hmm.
You know that even hell itself is not eternal. That so we're talking about the day of final judgment, and what ends up happening in the Christian belief is that you're thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, and it's not that you suffer for eternity. It's as if you are erased, not destroyed, erased. You never existed.
Yeah.
So does that just mean is your soul destroyed? Is that what it means? Trying to get back to the topic.
Not even. Not.
I don't think. I really don't think we ever left the topic. Honestly.
No, I know. I'm just afraid of us.
Well, I'm getting to that point. Like, and that's. It's almost as if there's a higher level than being destroyed. So when something's destroyed, John, when we destroy something, or even when the Hindus talk about destruction, energy is not really destroyed, right? But when you say something is erased, they're similar concepts, but they're also much different.
Right. So that concept, though, when you say you're erased, is your memory erased? Is all the people who you contact, anybody who you helped or touched or is related to, are you erased from their consciousness and their minds?
So it goes back to one. You understand?
I'm just curious about your opinion about it.
Oh no, I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm going to give you the explanation. So because a fundamental concept of heaven, right, is this idea that you could be in heaven, but your loved ones may not be. They may be in hell, right?
Right.
So how can you truly be happy if they're in hell?
Right. So you're saying it only applies to the afterlife.
Well, if they're erased.
That's what I'm saying. Is that it only applies to the afterlife because when you're alive, you don't know if someone's in heaven or hell. You just believe. It's what you believe, right?
But let's and I don't mean to interrupt. Also, I put a picture of Doom guy up for in hell. To light the mood. But that's not what I was going to talk about. But if we talk about an idea of hell, and we talk about like what's going on in hell, or not hell, I'm sorry, but if you go to if you die and your loved ones are in hell and you're in heaven, would that not suggest that maybe you wouldn't have any, and if they were to be erased, you wouldn't have any recollection of them in heaven, so that hurt wouldn't be there?
That is the theology behind it, yes.
Well, that's what I meant. Yeah.
The theology behind it is the only way for you to experience eternal life of happiness, how we would describe heaven, is as if they are erased. Because if you have the concept that someone you loved is below you, beneath you, and suffering for all of eternity,
that wouldn't be heaven.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right, but so how can you be as happy as you know, if heaven is the most blissful and happy you can be, then if you're having memories, like good memories of loved ones erased from your
I think
mind.
I think you're missing the concept of erase.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know.
Yeah,
Right.
erased. Yeah, not destroyed, not taken, erased.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely that's a hard concept to wrap your head around.
Very difficult.
It would be a tough pill to swallow, but I think like if you were in that point, it wouldn't really be a thing to you at that point. I don't know. But if we go by What Dreams May Come, which is a very completely accurate movie, you can be Robin Williams and go to hell. Yeah.
And save them.
Yeah. No.
I don't know. You think about all the different texts about people going to hell. Dante, and you wonder, is it possible?
Well,
are we in
but,
hell?
but Dante's Inferno is also based on what is it? Based on Greek mythology too. It's yeah. Hey, sorry, we're losing a little bit of chat to J-Man Quest. He said, "Are you saying that hell is the absence of the Lord?" And then he also said he doesn't. That's something that you wouldn't know until it happens. We actually talked about that earlier. J-Man was actually saying that we don't know until we know, and we may not know if. And I think Michael made a really good point. I think
this is true.
Yeah,
you may never know.
You may never know. And we got to ask. In life that would be cruel to think about, but maybe in the afterlife that's actually kind of a blessing.
Yeah, it would be. It would. I mean, yeah, completely thinking about it. Of course, it would be. Because in the I guess in the Christian ideas that I was always raised up in it's like every good and bad thing you've ever done is going to be played on a movie screen in front of everybody, whether or not that's something that's Bible based or not. I don't know. That was just something that was shamed into me. So that whole idea, if you're bad, then everybody's going to watch it, and then you're just going to forget about it, and you're going to hell. Is that just
that's the day of final judgment. You don't go back to hell. You're tossed into the lake of fire and brimstone. You're pulled from all of hell is pulled to be judged.
Yeah, but in the final paradise, all the people who knew me and loved me, are they going to remember everything I did?
Erased.
So then what does it matter? What does it matter what I did?
Well,
if everything's going to be erased anyway, just one deity, one entity is going to determine whether or not everything that I ever did is worth erasing.
Well, so the theology on that would be that the deity doesn't determine that. You determine that.
No, I'm being judged. It's not me. My actions are being judged. Yes, my actions are my choice, but I'm still being judged by something, against something. So it's not me. When you look at it like that, and the theology like that, because there's no you can't argue that you can be judged without any kind of accountability from the judge. Cricket chirps.
I'm waiting on. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just curious. This is why I am. This is why I believe what I believe. This is what's gotten me here. So I could be wrong, and I hope I'm not wrong.
So I'll give my because I'll answer something you asked earlier. Both of you asked. I struggle with the idea of the starting place being that your ideas of the afterlife, the soul, come from a place of fear of death. I struggle with that.
Hey, Mikey, you're muffled again.
Okay.
Gotcha.
What did you hear? What was that?
I think we could hear most of it. It was just really underwater sounding.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that's a really important concept to the Hindu. They're really not approaching it. What they call their dharma. They're not approaching with the idea that they're fearful of what happens eternally.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and our three major religions that we know of, they do. It's the idea of what happens afterwards that really motivates the majority of people to do these things. So I struggle with that. I struggle with the idea of the starting place being fear of death and the unknown.
Right. I believe that. I believe a lot of that shapes the way like people's actions. But if you're saying so let me build on that. If you're saying that just the fear of death and what comes after is what compels people to act the way they do, then are they truly acting on their own accord, or are they only acting out of fear because they believe that's what they're supposed to be doing? It's not truly what they believe. It's just that I've been told if I do this, I'm going to heaven.
I think
Whereas I don't believe that.
I believe that's the fundamental question. And
would somebody who does that, who actually performs the actions but doesn't believe it, or is only doing it without that conviction in their heart, is somebody like that worth more than somebody who does good deeds but doesn't follow the, Judeo-Christian idea? Like, what's where does that become unjust? That decision. So
I believe that's the fundamental. I ask a similar question. In the mortal realm, what is a hero? I ask that question a lot. I'm almost annoying with it. Define what a hero is. Yeah. And that's an important concept. What motivates the individual to do the things that they do?
So
somebody does it right.
But you say, like, what is a hero and everything? By your definition of a hero, somebody else's definition could be very differing.
Right.
And in that term, somebody's hero is another person's villain. So what deems that the hero is worthy of the gates of Valhalla? I don't know.
I think Vinland Saga actually did a really good job describing that. Vinland Saga season 1, shout out.
I actually need to. I've only watched 3 episodes of Vinland Saga, but yeah,
I've not seen it.
So the priest, he there's a priest. He's a drunkard, and he's searching for something. He's looking. Well, basically, he's searching for the second coming, right? And these people are asking, well, these people, they do these things. They protect their people they love. Well, what is that if that's not love, right? He says that's not love. That's discrimination. And then they describes another individual, right? And this individual, who ends up being, he's the overarching theme of season 1, Thor's. This is the ultimate warrior, but he became the ultimate warrior because he gave up fighting. He's the first one that his love is not discrimination. And that's the essence of a true hero. Because a true hero, right, would be someone who is beyond being someone else's enemy. It's heroism for the purpose of heroism.
Mm-hmm.
Not motivated by...
Right, but every action has equal and opposite reaction. Mm-hmm. So everything a hero does is going to be rebuffed by something, or else they're not a hero.
And there's
They're
gonna be
acting.
somebody who would actually, okay. So say like you're a hero, you're going there and you're attacking the enemy, and we can go down a very dark controvert, or we can go down a very dark path that I won't go down to. But say like a hero arrives to a village, and they go in there and they pretty much slaughter an entire village, and they're lauded as a hero. Well, to the child that lost its family, that's going to be a villain. So that hero be condemned to hell, or be welcomed into a pearly gate? That's what I'm trying to ask you. So I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think the definition of hero, it can be perceived in so many different ways. So
So Thor's Thor's didn't kill anyone after he laid down the sword.
yeah,
He allowed himself to die.
yeah.
This is the dude who was beyond approach.
Wait, did you just bring it around to Game of Thrones?
Thor's.
Did you say Thoros?
Oh,
Thor.
Oh, I thought you said Thoros.
J-Man Quest says a hero is the last scene of Rorschach. What are you talking about, buddy?
Oh, okay. He's talking
The
about
Watchmen.
yeah, he's talking about
Okay,
Watchmen.
the Watchmen. Okay. Well,
Rorschach.
yeah. I mean, I guess that would be an idea of heroism. But okay, well, let's take like a controversial. I mean, okay, let's take a tragic character like Rorschach from the Watchmen.
Yeah. Different ideas of heroism.
Is he a hero?
Would God let him into heaven? We need to bring this back up to.
Okay, but that's what I'm getting at though. Like, would God let somebody like Rorschach into heaven? He was always going to do the right thing. He was always going to make sure the job got done,
Mm-hmm.
but he was going to do dirty deeds to make sure the right thing got done.
Right.
So I think that's where we kind of blur the line. So I don't know if being a hero is enough of a qualifier, because like I said,
Oh no, I don't. I don't
yeah.
think so. 'Cause
Okay.
I believe Rorschach would say he's not a hero.
Yeah.
But that may be the most qualifying heroic thing there is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at that respect, though, I mean,
Well, I mean,
but,
you look at some of the things Rorschach said, like people will, the streets will be filled with blood, and people
And they will
will
scream
cry up and ask for help, and I'll say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even though they deserve it, whether in his mind they deserve it, he's still not going to help them.
Yeah.
So,
But J-Man,
but I get what he's saying.
Yeah,
for sure.
J-Man, I would also, not the, but I would disagree with the modern view of a hero is ultimately flawed. I would disagree with that. I would say that the idea of a hero has always been flawed. Look at Greek mythology with Hercules. Was Hercules a hero?
In Disney, he was, but not when you look, when you read the full tales.
He killed his son, killed his mother and son. Would
wife too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, wife and son. That's what I meant to say.
Do you see why I annoyingly ask, "What is a hero?"
No, Michael. You said that everybody. I don't know. I need to watch Vinland Saga.
It's hard to be a hero.
It's hard to be a hero.
A true hero does what's right. Period. It doesn't matter what.
I think that everybody's capable of heroic deeds. Now let me say this though. Like whenever you die and say that you're judged or gauged on how you live life, we say that a hero could be, could be capable of villainy. On that end too, though. Maybe they would be gauged more in their heroic deeds, and they would focus, not so much on like what they've done wrong. I think that you can, not every wrong, but I think you can right a lot of wrongs. And I would say that my idea of a hero is just, doing good deeds, doing good things. I think this grand idea of a hero, being somebody that's essentially invincible, of good, of being able to lay down the sword. Yeah, that's a great idea of a hero. But I also think of, people helping a little old lady across the street, somebody giving somebody $5 for lunch who doesn't have it. Somebody,
Mm-hmm.
helping a lesser person. That's my idea of a hero. you know.
When you increase somebody's soul gauge or happiness gauge, so to speak, that they've been having a bad day, and nowadays that's what it's boiled down to. Because now we're not. I mean, we still have war, but it's not like a constant thing.
I think you misunderstood what I said about Vinland Saga. The concept is exploring what is a hero, and Thor himself is saying, "I am not a true hero." So there's something further than just laying down the sword that's going to be explored in the manga.
Well, but what and I understand that. I think I was going back more towards, I think you were talking about like Dharma, and before we even got on the subject of the Vinland Saga, you were saying like, I annoyingly talk about heroes all the time, and and I think that's what merits, the way I interpret is that you were saying being a hero is what merits you getting into a good side of the afterlife.
Michael, what is a hero after years of asking annoyingly?
I don't know.
What is your idea of a hero? No, I want to. I mean, you've got to have some
honestly,
kind of idea.
I'm genuinely, because I have an idea of what a hero is.
I want to know.
I don't know. I don't know. I want someone to answer it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a hero is whatever you perceived a hero being, but at the same time though, and you talked about like he laid down his sword and he declared that he is not a hero. I think a hero is a title that's given by people who perceive your actions. And it could be that in the afterlife, whenever you're gauged and judged, they're saying this man was a hero, and you could, well, kind of like Rorschach. Rorschach would probably say he's not a hero, maybe, but to somebody else, he probably was.
Right? Yeah. There were a lot of people. Yeah. If you watch the show afterwards, the follow-up show.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that thought he was a hero.
Let's look at a Frank Castle. Frank Castle is a brutal killer.
Mm-hmm.
But is he doing God's work?
I mean, is he a hero for what he's doing? Yeah. I guess is the question.
Well, so bringing it back to the original, why I brought up, so doing God's work, what John and I were discussing is the motivation behind it, and where I struggle. Are most people doing these God's works out of fear of death in the afterlife?
I would think that there's a lot of terrible things done in God's name.
This is true. Good or bad, I believe.
I think that if you're doing God's work, that's doing work that's unselfish, unbiased. I think that's doing good deeds and good things.
Truly.
And sometimes I think that there could be violence in that, and that could be, but sometimes, and I hate to say it because I try to be more peaceful now, but sometimes there is a need for violence, and that could be perceived as good,
Is it ever truly God's work, worthy of entering into the pearly gates, if your prime motivation is to not go to hell?
I don't think that's God's work. No, I don't. I think if you're actively trying to avoid hell and not, I think God wants us to truly live. I think God truly wants us to live, and I think that if you were doing things out of the fear of going to hell, then I would question your moral compass from the beginning. And I think that you would ultimately, if that's what's keeping you from, I think John's kind of said that earlier, if that's what's keeping you being a good person, then you probably weren't a good person, inherently. Now I have
you can mimic good deeds, but it doesn't.
You can mimic good deeds. Doesn't mean that you're a good person. I've met a lot of people, and especially even now, working in the area that I work, I meet a lot of good. Hold on, let me rephrase. I meet a lot of people who claim to be good Christian people who do not have good Christian ideologies, or at least do not practice the Bible the way the Bible teaches. And some of them are some of the most hateful people I've ever met.
That's my problem. But I mean, we're all flawed humans, But
most of us.
That's my biggest problem with it is that.
Thank you for the compliment, Michael.
is that you have all these people who talk the talk but don't walk the walk.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's my problem with it. It doesn't mean that what they're talking about is wrong. It's just that the ideology seems to not care because there's no outspoken words against people like this, people who do this, people who just to paraphrase it is, you know, besmirching the church, and you know, people who say that they're trying to do God's work, but they don't act the way that
God would.
I believe that they would want, that, you know, a God or God would want. So, like,
Is that a reflection of the soul, or does that affect the soul, the afterlife?
I think they can cancel it out if they go Old Testament and then they do it. Sorry.
So fundamentally, is that a reflection of the soul, or does that affect the
whose
soul?
soul? Whose soul?
Their own soul. The person you just described. Is that a reflection of their soul?
Yeah, surely, because actions speak louder than words. You can say I believe, but if you don't show any kind of actions that you believe and that you follow the word, then you don't.
Well, so the concept I'm trying to get to is it a reflection of the soul, or are we affecting the soul? Can the mortal, the body, does it affect the soul, or is it just inherently a reflection of it?
If what we're talking about, if the soul is the ticket or the luggage that goes to the afterlife, and you know what I mean. It's a poor phrasing, but if it's just what comes out of the decisions and the judging of the afterlife, then we do. I think we can choose. We have choices. We have beliefs, but it just depends on what you believe, really.
So I want to jump in here real quick though. I don't really believe that, you know, doing bad deeds is necessarily a reflection of the soul. And the reason why I say that is that, you know, we go back to what I was talking about before, is the egoic mind or the pain body. I believe that evil deeds, evil minds come from. Hey, Brett, man, you came into a wild stream, dude. We're going down a rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole.
Rabbit hell. We're going down rabbit hell, motherfucker. Do rabbits go to hell? Ask Doom Guy. But no. You know, I think a lot of that is a reflection of the pain body. You know, I think that evil is a human flaw. I don't think that it's a reflection of the soul. I don't think that has. I think that I don't believe that anybody is born evil. And if we're not born evil, then I don't believe that evil is part of the soul. I believe that evil and meanness and all that stuff is learned, and I believe that's part of the egoic mind. I believe that's ego that is causing evil things. So
do evil actions of the mortal affect the soul then?
Absolutely. I think that we have the ability to choose on if we want to act on those impulses and differentiate right and wrong. But I think where it gets a little bit murky is your perception of right and wrong may not be my perception of right and wrong.
Right.
You know, and I think that's where it gets a little bit murky. And I think that if there was any kind of anything, you know, I think there could be a gauge on that too. So I don't know. You know, that's a tough one to answer. I mean, really, but I don't think that necessarily your soul is. I don't think that your soul is bad. I think that your soul is a little bit off and tainted. I believe that your energy is. It's kind of like whenever you walk in a room and you feel bad energy.
Is the soul more likened to an empty vessel when you're born?
No. I think that, you know, again, I think that your soul is your true self, and I believe that boils down to mindfulness. You know, I don't think if you're mindful enough, you're ever going to have a need to act on violence, to act on anything wrong. You know, I don't really think that you would have a need for that. You know, and I think that boils down to enlightenment too. I mean, if you're enlightened, you're probably not going to have to worry about, you know, earthly things. I think that earthly things, and we talk about souls. I think that earthly things and possessions and stuff like that. Granted, I have a lot of possessions, and I love them all. That's a human condition. So if I didn't have a need for that stuff, I wouldn't really be. I wouldn't have a need to be bad. I wouldn't have a need to do evil, to do wrong, because it wouldn't interest me. Except for Rabbit Hill. Oh God, am I by myself? Hello? Did I lose you guys? Did you all just quit the stream? Oh no. Where the hell am I going? John, I think you muted yourself. Mikey, you're there.
What did you do?
I talked about Rabbit Hill.
Every single time that Doug goes on a tangent, something happens.
Well, y'all are messing up. You're all fucking up my chakras. I gotta go meditate.
John.
Actually,
I think every time I get muted, Mikey wants to go muted too.
I know it. I was like, man, there was like, fuck this guy.
Look, maybe I got farting noises and stuff I've got going on, and I don't want to share.
Well, I'm surprised we still have people in the stream. Let's see, we got Rorschach is listening. We got Brett. I don't know if Brett's still here.
I don't mean to be rude, but John, can you give a wrap up? It's kind of late now, and
wrap up.
Yeah, we actually do need to get.
How much?
Your top tonight.
I got lonely.
Honestly, I feel like this is something that. I don't know if this is an idea that's that might be cool if y'all might want to try, but what if we leave the conversation here where we are? We can kind of wrap up. I mean, I think honestly we all have to kind of summarize our own beliefs and points to do it. I don't think I can wrap it up for you two.
But what if we single belief?
Okay. So to wrap it up, Michael, to summarize, what are your thoughts on souls, next lives, and reincarnation? And then you can go. Do you believe in souls? Mikey, you just muted yourself, you dumbass. Jesus. He
doesn't want to talk anymore. What I was going to say is that if we don't wrap it up, so to speak, we could see what the random generator.
That's not a bad idea.
Brings for the next one, and then we can see if there's any kind of correlation between the two subjects.
Okay.
I was thinking about that. I was like, I wonder if out of all of these, which there's going to be some that we can't obviously do at all, but I mean, to me, to wrap it up, if you'd like, because I can talk all night.
Oh, I could, but yeah, I gotta go to work.
Yep. I get to go sign my acceptance papers on Thursday, and then orientation on Monday. So next week I will be a working man again. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Thank the soul.
Thank God.
Yes, thank God. But I believe that. Okay, problems.
Yeah.
I believe that personally. I think that the soul is something that's ever present with us. I believe it's something. It's complicated. I think it's something that we'll probably never be able to wrap our brains around until we have full enlightenment. To bring that back around. And if you want to stay on the topic of enlightenment, then sure. I think that when we pass, when our souls pass on, then there's probably going to be things we regret doing or not doing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're given a choice to have another life. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if our actions will cause that or change that at all. I'm not. That's a. I don't know. Maybe.
If you came back as a horse, would you be okay, John?
What if you came back as a brony?
Not much would be different.
Oh, you're a brony in real life? Or?
No, I don't.
Are you hung like a horse? I don't know.
I don't walk on all fours, that's for sure. But no, I don't know. I think you come back and if let's say reincarnation's real. Okay, let's do that. We'll say if it's real and if it ain't real. If it's real, then it sure seems majestic. In a sense, it does. Hopefully, you don't come back as an ant,
Okay.
or something that only lives for a day.
Do ants have souls?
I mean, if we're talking about all animals, bugs are animals, right?
Yeah.
Hey, a final question for you, John.
Yeah.
Does reincarnation serve a purpose? Is that why you're being reincarnated into this new vessel?
If reincarnation is real, then the only purpose I could imagine it does is that you need to learn how to live better. you need to be humbled if you're going down. If you're going up, then maybe that means you're doing something right. But I don't have a lot of knowledge about those kinds of beliefs. It's an idea that I'm unfamiliar with. I thought when I suggested this topic, it was I purposefully included reincarnation with this because it's something I'm unsure about. I'm not knowledgeable about. So I think that I like to bring those kinds of things up because I like to learn. I want to learn as much as I can about everything that I can. And so it gives me a perspective to get two more and hopefully more, from chat, two more perspectives and more about something I don't know about is always an enrichment to my life. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, to talk with you guys, because I think we all three think similarly about a lot of things, but there's a lot of things we think differently about, and I think that that's a wonderful thing for us to share and to be able to better ourselves. So hopefully, I believe if reincarnation is real, then the purpose that it serves is to tell you how you did. And you got to learn from that. If you don't learn from that, then you're just going to keep getting set back.
That's not dissimilar to the Hindu and their belief in Dharma.
Right.
Yeah, and it's also not dissimilar to in Buddhism too, because actually in Buddhism,
very similar.
There is a hell and reincarnate, and you are reincarnated based on the actions that you had in life too. So yeah, and you actually have to go through hell to get to that.
Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to cut it
Cryptid
short.
was in the mix. That's okay.
All right, all right, Mikey, we'll let you go, man. Thank you for coming on, and we'll look forward to talking to you next Tuesday.
All right. Next time.
All right,
See ya.
See ya.
Thank you, Christy. And cryptids were a part of.
Well, we had monsters in the south, so that could be a little bit different. So we will throw cryptids in there just to be specific on cryptids, which I have a big book on cryptids too that I bought for Christy. So
Nice.
I'm actually getting the wheel situated right now.
Torture.
Yeah, wheel of torture.
While you get that situated, what are your thoughts and last thoughts and remarks about the topic?
Okay, so my last thought. Well, actually, I'll just go ahead and acknowledge the chat too, because I don't want you guys to feel left out. I will say thank you guys for coming on as we wrap this up and everything too. And I want to touch in on what J-Man put, is that even Jesus flipped tables and whipped salesmen in the temple. If you actually looked at deleted texts, from the Bible and everything, Jesus also fought dragons and stuff too. So what I'm saying is that as cool as fighting dragons are, not, and this also goes back to whenever I asked, is God perfect? I don't think anybody is necessarily perfect. And I would encourage everybody to check out the book, The Power of Now, because in The Power of Now, they actually talk about Jesus and Buddha. even to the extent of saying that you would not know someone who's truly enlightened or someone who is truly, of a greater stature and everything, just by looking at them, just by speaking to them, because they wouldn't have a need to really show that. So I guess what I'm saying though is that live your life. You're never going to be perfect because we don't live in a perfect world, and that's okay because that's what builds character, and we wouldn't know good unless we had bad.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
so definitely that's a big takeaway on that. As far as reincarnation goes, I totally believe in it. I don't know if I believe in the judgment system behind it on what you come back as. But I do believe that there's something out there, and our atoms and matter never really disappear. As far as souls, I absolutely believe that we have souls, but I do think that we confuse that with something called ego. I think that we build a character based on what we perceive as right and wrong in the world, and we allow other peoples to dictate that character and judge us to a point to where we don't really know who the hell we are. So I think if you really want to get in touch with your soul, try to lessen your ego, be more mindful, be more present, and don't really care about what people necessarily think of you. Now, if you're out there, and you're doing wrong, people are going to think poorly of you. But a lot of people have a very obscure view, and I'll give you an example where I'm working at now. We do not align in our beliefs, and I'm not about to really change my beliefs on that just to be able to fit in and be a little more welcomed, because their right is my wrong. Let's put it that way. And I think that's what you need to look at as an individual. And then the last thing I'll say on that too is, and I was kind of mentioned earlier, I never got a chance to really follow up with it too, but I was talking about like science and faith and everything, and how I think that in the end, I believe that science can lead us to God. I believe that science can lead us to something otherworldly that could help us understand. So I believe that faith and science and paranormal and everything weird, there is some kind of science behind it, and I love something that Albert Einstein said, that you cannot measure time and space because both of those things are infinite, and so you might as well be present in it. And then if you actually talk about God says something along the lines, and I'm probably butchering it. What does he say? God says that I am. Basically, God says that I am timeless, and I am infinite. And so, if we were to believe that, that time is, that there is no such thing as time, and there's infinite space, then I believe that God is all around us. So that's
true.
To summarize. I think that's, and like I said, I'm butchering it.
I wish
I could make it a little more eloquent on that end, but that's my summary of everything. To summarize, I don't know. But I do know that there is. I do know that we can be good people if we don't listen as much. So
yes. Always when given the choice, and sometimes it's not very obvious that you're given a choice in life, but when you sit and think, could I react differently right now, and could there be a more positive outcome? I would urge most people to try to think about that and make sure that whatever their choice is, it has the most positive outcome, even if it's not mostly positive for yourself. Try to think about that. What would be the most positive? Most of the time, it's going to be most positive for yourself, but there might be some times where you can be a little bit more cognizant about your environment. Just like, you might see somebody stressing and rushing, and let them get ahead of you in line at the grocery store, or
that's what being a hero is to me.
Stop and let somebody out when there's a whole lot of traffic, and traffic's slow. You got somebody at an intersection, they got a stop sign, and all they want to do is they want to pull out so they can get in line with the rest of you. Go ahead and let them out. It's not going to, one more car isn't going to hurt you that much, but it's going to really help them, because who knows how many more cars are going to pass by before somebody lets them out. So I think that, I agree with you. That's kind of like just those little nice things that you can do. And I'm not trying to say I'm a hero, but I do try to.
But what I can say is everybody is capable of being a hero and is capable of heroic action.
Yeah, I think I just try to be good.
Yep.
I don't try to be a hero or anything like that. I try to give when I can, help when I can, and I mean that's just ultimately that's the best I can do, and I hope that that's enough for whatever's out there.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Hopefully.
All right.
I see a wheel.
You see the wheel. So, all right, the wheels are turning. So we're going to go ahead and try to wrap this up tonight, but we're going to go ahead and decide the next episode. That way we can get our research together and hopefully get every kink worked out. We actually had webcams going on, and we were looking really professional with DSLR cameras. So unfortunately that screwed up.
Picture.
So, we were doing nice. So we're going to go ahead and spin the wheel. We also have cryptids in there too. So just for Kristen, drum roll. Up. What do we got? Okay. So
again.
Yeah. So that's another one that John picked. So we almost ended up on Angels and Demons, which actually would have been relevant. But it's so we have mental health and the paranormal. Is there a relation? So that would be our next episode. Hope that you all tune into that. And if
it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, and if you guys have any opinions, and if you're actually in the stream tonight, if you want to be a part in there, and you want to be a guest on our show, make sure you check us out. Brett, if he's still in here, he is a streamer, and he's a really funny streamer. I was actually watching him the other night play It Takes Two, and he was drawing dicks, Sounds fun. That does sound fun. So so go check him out. Brett6394, really great guy, really great streamer. Make sure you check out J-Man Quest, who is also doing Kendama streams. Really attentive to his chat.
My broha.
Yeah. Big thank you to Mikey. Make sure you check out John on his Twitch stream. He plays a lot of Power Wash Simulator, which is
I'm getting ready to start Flusie's first plays. Okay.
Flusie's first plays.
Start doing that with the Arkham Origins, but per your recommendation.
Hell yeah! Oh yeah, Arkham's a great game, dude. But
I can't wait to play them.
It's good, especially on PC. I think you're gonna really love it. But it's
I'm sure.
But to say we are not gonna stop gaming videos on Captain Bowie. We are gonna continue playing games. This just really is a way for us all to get together a little bit easier, and we like talking. We like relating and having different conversations and different debates. So. But if you would like to be on the stream, just let us know. We'll see if it's a good fit. We may have a few guest spots lined up, but we'll have to see how that pans out.
Hopefully this is an opportunity for us to be able to do this more. Just because we can do it only vocally or audio.
Right.
Maybe. Hopefully,
even though, man, I think we had more difficulties tonight than we've ever had playing video games. So I don't know.
Yeah, but boy howdy! I mean, look what time it is and how long we've been going.
Yeah. So I mean, but to be honest with you, Mikey was able just to dial on a phone where he's actually been trying to hop in on different computers and stuff. So it actually makes it easier for us all to get together as one conjunction.
Can bring more content.
Yeah, bring more content. So gaming videos are still going to be happening. They'll just be happening on different days of the week, and you'll probably still catch John and I playing games. We still plan on finishing Dead Island. Which we're only about. I think we only have like 15% more to go of the story.
We're gonna find Jason.
Yeah, we're gonna find Jason, kick his ass. So,
after dying a couple times.
Yeah. So, where you can find us, you can find John on Twitch.tv, Mr. Mrs. Spike. You can find me here, Captain Bowie. Then we also have Instagram. I'll actually be updating my Instagram because I'm trying to bring out a few new things. I actually went to Louisville, Kentucky, about a month ago, and I actually took my new fancy camera and recorded an episode of me going to different haunted areas and checking
Oh,
those
that's
out.
cool.
Yeah, so took a
I
lot
want
of
to see
pictures of
that.
that. So as soon as I get time to edit that episode, you'll be seeing a lot more of that. I think right now the name actually is going to be Hainted Herbie.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's going to be me. And just for clarity, I'm a skeptic on a lot of things. I don't really necessarily believe that there's a lot of paranormal stuff going on. Even though I got haunted on stream multiple times, but
Mhm.
I'm still fairly skeptical on that kind of stuff. But I just really enjoy figuring out the lore of towns and checking out all what's going on out there too. Surprisingly, John actually went on a haunted, what was it, a haunted hayride we went on together last year in Ringgold, Georgia, and
Yeah, it was awesome.
we did not realize just how dark Ringgold, Georgia is. Like it's just
Oh, it was so much
real,
fun because
really dark.
we were gonna go on that
The haunted, yeah, like the
train station or
yeah,
the
haunted depot.
yeah, and it was just I think it was gonna be a little too much for Lily,
So
and
it's
but boy,
but it actually worked out
oh,
even
that was
it
awesome.
worked out even better. So we actually, because there was so much, and I won't get into it here because I don't want to really ruin it. But so you'll probably see the Hainted Herbie stuff on our YouTube channel and then also on my Instagram. So I hope you guys check that out too whenever I get off my ass and get that done. But there's a lot of really cool places that are close by, especially in the South. The South is just a stomping ground for the weird. In Georgia, I didn't realize it's such a cryptid infested area. So, but
For
yeah,
real.
we even have the Bigfoot Museum just about an hour away up in the mountains. So
That's crazy.
so uh, where else you can find us on YouTube.com, the Blood Brothers Live. So the Blood Brothers Live, and I should have thrown up our Gmail in here. We'll get that next time. You can actually email us at that too, the Blood Brothers Live at gmail.com. So make sure that if you have a weird story or like and if you want to come on live and talk about that weird story, or if you want us to read it live, email us. We'll be more than happy to take a look at that. We want to be as interactive as we can with you guys. So,
I just want to say that is a really, really cool piece of artwork.
yeah. So, um, yeah, Blood Brothers. We're just trading blood. And by the way, if I think we talked about it way back in our previous streams. The Blood Brothers is actually a reference to a band that I showed to John called the Blood Brothers,
yeah.
and they're a fucking awesome post-hardcore band. So make sure you
They've since disbanded, but
but their music is still great and still gets us pumped. And so if you ever hear us screaming "Fire, fire, fire," that's exactly the reference. So it's all right. So I think that's it. So if you guys are in the chat, we're going to try to raid out. So we'll try to go to another stream and hopefully help them out. If you guys want to keep watching anything spooky or paranormal or whatever, we'll try to find another streamer streaming right now, and we'll raid out to them. So as we let go, I am Captain Bowie, aka Doug, and we have John.
John, Mr. Spot. That's me. Sorry.
All right.
I get entranced with your speech, so I'm just like,
No.
just listening to the next word.
Good.
It's just,
yeah. All right. So we're gonna raid out now. Y'all hang on tight. Hold on. I gotta get my bloody exit. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Thank you all for coming to the Blood Brothers Live. Again, just thank you all so much for coming to the Blood Brothers Live. Glad y'all came. So.
Woohoo! Had a fun time.